Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we got a great topic: why I can't stop thinking about my ex. Topic that's been discussed before, but we're going to get into it again because it's an important one. And a big reason why you're having trouble with this is because you can't accept it. Period. You can't accept the fact that you're in a breakup. Why they broke up with you is not something you can accept. Now, a lot of times you're thinking, why can't I stop thinking about them? Think about that for a minute. Why can't I stop getting this out of my mind again and again and again? And I've had it happen to me before. It doesn't always just apply to breakups. This can apply to work issues where someone said something or did something to you and you can't stop thinking about it. You can't stop going over the scenario again and again. Has that happened to you before? I know it's happened in my life, and I couldn't figure out what's the issue. What are you stuck on? Why do you keep replaying this event? And someone says, oh, just let it go. Right? I agree. But how do you let it go? Like, what are the stages? What's the process of letting something go? Someone told me a few days ago that one of the examples of letting go is to hold a pen. Here's a pen. To hold a pen and let it go. And that's an example of how you let go of things. And I thought to myself, okay, I'm sure that works for a lot of people, right? So what's the reason? What's the reason that you got a scenario or a situation? And in this case, for this show, for this channel, in a lot of ways, it's about a breakup, but it can be related to issues with a best friend, issues with family members, scenarios where you can't stop thinking about what happened, how you were done wrong, how that person's made you angry, right? Why can't you let it go? Why can't you move on? And I'm going to give you the golden answer to that. And I'm going to be honest right now. I didn't fully realize this till about 6 or 7 months ago. How important it is to accept the truth, to accept what you can't control, but also to accept when you just don't know. Okay, I'm going to get into that deeper today. But before you can move on and let go, the first step, which is really difficult because people don't even think that's a part of them letting go. So you get to a point where, like, you just got to let it go. You just got to move on. You just got to go to the gym. You just got to do this. It's like, all right, well, what am I getting stuck on here? It's probably something you can't accept fully and completely. Now think about that for a moment. I like to call it the mouse wheel in your head because you're going over the same shit over and over again, over and over again. I can't believe they did that to me. It's so unfair. I can't believe they're not calling me. Why aren't they calling me? And then your mind goes into, well, I'm angry at that person for not calling me and ignoring me. And then your mind goes into, well, I don't want to be angry because I love them. And there's this ping pong game in your head where you can't decide on what to accept or not accept. So you get caught in this war of emotions. Stay with me on this because this is a very important concept. Okay? This is life-changing shit. You get in this war. Okay? You get in this idea that I'm angry, but I'm sad. I hate him, but I fucking love him. I would do anything for her, but she hates me. These are conflicted emotions. They're contradictions. And with contradictions, it fragments your view. Now, I've talked about this before. I've known people that are good business people. We won't use the term businessmen anymore. Good business people. And one thing across the line for these people, it's not their knowledge. It's not that they are brilliant or genius. It's a lot of times they can't see failure. This is what I've noticed. They live like they don't. Not all these people that have been successful at businesses rub me off as, wow, this person's genius. One thing that stands out is they don't see failure. They are tunnel vision towards their goal, their business, and anything that takes them off the course is okay because they're going to figure it out. They don't get rattled over that stuff. Right? I knew this guy that was a good friend of a good friend of mine. So I wouldn't call him my good friend. My friend grew up with him. And he ran I don't want to say multinational, but a huge, huge company in contracting. They had accounts all over. And if you met him, the guy wasn't very sharp. I mean, he honestly comes off kind of as a bonehead. But he had this huge business, but he had this error to him that he just could see no failure in his business. He could see no wrong. He had no fear, right? He accepted that he was going to do everything it took in that business, and anything that come his way, he'd handle it. Now, let me get to this. How does this weave into why I can't stop thinking about my ex? Because it's acceptance first. And this is lost. This is lost for a lot of people. And I wish I would have known this 11 or 12 years ago when I had my really bad breakup and I had the mouse wheel going. I kept thinking about the same things over and over again. Because this concept alone really should bring some clarity to you. And like I said, this can be applied to everything. And I'm starting to look at things a lot differently in the sense that I can give you surface advice. Okay. Even in my coaching, you doing a 1 hour, 2 hour coaching with me, I can give you good advice. I can be there for you. Okay. And there's fucking value in that because there's a lot of people on their phone these days, 24/7, friends, family, or colleagues, and they just don't give a shit. Sorry to tell you. Right. They've got other things to do. They've got on their phone, they've got 10,000 things that are more interesting than you. Okay. So I've developed a gift that I can actually listen to other human beings for long periods of time and give them back and give them feedback and actually care. Actually ask them questions to help discover what their problems are and what they're dealing with. That's a skill. Okay. What's happening now is there's so much information out there on YouTube and social media that people get contradicted on where to go, which way to go. It's a paradox of choice. Okay. It's tough. Right. And everyone's funneled to the same funnel. It's like if I ever talk to anyone about my coaching and whatnot, they want to talk to me about my website, creating a funnel. Right. This is what the internet is. Let's create a funnel. Okay. And I get why that is. I'm not against it. And someone, that's what it is. Let's create a funnel for people to spend money with you and like you and do these things. But going back to this topic, right? You can get this information. You could read a self-help book. I'm self-help booked out. I can recommend some good self-help books, but I've come to the conclusion, if you can't accept where you're at with your problem, okay, not your label. That's another thing. Oh, she's a narcissist. Oh, she's such and such. She's that. I think she's this. What's the problem? The problem for you in a lot of cases is she broke up with me. I broke up with her. He broke up with me. She was jealous too much. She cheated on me. I found dirty text. That's the problem. Can you accept that happened? That's number one. That's number one. And what gets lost in this is everyone's trying to take, I can't accept the fact that this person's no longer attracted to me. I can't accept the fact this person cheated on me. How can you get to a point where you accept that's what happened? That's rule number one if you're going to get through it. Accept the truth of it. You don't have to like it. You don't have to bathe in it. You don't have to fully love yourself and care about yourself. You just got to be okay with it, right? Maybe you don't like the woo-woo talk of fully love and accept yourself. Maybe you don't want to do affirmations. How are you going to get to a point where you can be neutral and okay with the fact that someone left you, broke up with you, or did you wrong? Now, the brain's going to search for things and reasons why that's not okay. They're going to tell you this is unfair. You were with this person for 10 years. You did a lot of good things. What are they missing? I'm with you. And if we do a live coaching session, we'll unpack it. And there's a lot of value in that. 2 hours, 3 hours. There's a lot of value in that. You got to get that all out. You got to throw it up. Okay. But if you're going to get through the part where you're like, I'm in this constant loop, it starts with accepting it. It starts with accepting what they told you. And a lot of times in these, someone says, I don't get this. Let me simplify it for you. From what you told me, they broke up with you because they don't feel the same way about you and they feel like they're too young to settle down. Okay. You got to accept that. It sucks. It's not fair. It's shitty. But can you accept it? That's your first choice. That's your first thing. Now, someone says, how do I accept it? I have a couple tools that I've learned that help with that. That's not just like, hey, accept it. Because, you know, as adults, just telling people what to do, like, hey, man, you need to eat healthy or you need to exercise, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work a lot of times. It works with certain people. There's certain people out there that you can give them information, you give them advice. And let's face it, if it was someone famous or someone they highly respected, maybe it'll work better. But in most cases, it doesn't. All right, let's get into the topic today. I do have a description. We do have Sabina, G Money, K, and NYC. All are welcome. Keep the comments coming if you have any questions or concerns or matters or stories that resonate with this topic. Or if you just, in the comments below, if you can't stop thinking about an ex or a situation. I had this happen to me recently where I'm not bulletproof, folks. I'm a good coach. I help people a lot. But I have certain situations where I can't stop thinking about a scenario or a situation where I was done wrong, where I was disrespected. I didn't get to say my say, right? And it just goes. If you're doing that, you're not accepting what happened first and foremost. It's a big deal. Now, if you stick with me on this live stream, you watch it all the way through, I'm going to tell you a few tools that are outside of just, hey, man, let it go. Get back on the horse. Get out there and start dating again. Hey, this book says letting go is what you need to do. So how do you let go? You have to accept what happened first, right? That's number one. Think about how conflicted your mind is on the topic you're stuck on. Tell me this. 1 minute you're angry. The next minute you're telling yourself, I shouldn't be angry about this. I should be letting it go. No, you're better off being a little bit angry about it or all the way angry about it in a controlled way, right? And getting it out. See, what you're doing is, I'm angry, put it back in the box. No, I shouldn't be angry. That's not how society works. This is wrong of me. I should be letting this go. I should be dating again. No, I'm angry. This was wrong. If you just go, you know what? I was done wrong. This individual didn't care about me. And you just get all the comments and the things out of you that you've been holding in. That's when you start to accept how you really feel. All right. D Snuts. Wow, what a great name. And the great Odd Carlo. We'll just call you OCT. So we got a story on deck, and then I'm going to unpack this a little bit deeper. So the description of the day, it's an open loop. An open loop in psychology means the story hasn't ended. It's a cliffhanger in a series on Netflix that you don't want to end. You feel like the story can't end this way. There's got to be a part where you live happily ever after. Or she comes to your doorstep, he comes to your doorstep in the pouring rain, begging you back, where you can then make a decision to take them back or finally let them in the door because it's pouring rain outside. Yes, it does sound like a Hollywood movie, doesn't it? And I've had clients tell me before, I've said, well, what's the perfect scenario here? Well, I mean, if everything went right, let's just put aside your problems. And a lot of times this is what people want. I want them to beg for me back, and then I have the option to reject them or let them in the door. Then there's the 21st century element of becoming a covert spectator or online nonviolent stalker via social media. This only makes the story go on and on. This is probably the worst thing to do. How do you end the story? Because it's a story. It's a chapter in your life. A relationship is a story that carries on with moments, trials, tribulations, ups, downs, all arounds, right? How do you end the story? You accept the breakup. How do you end a book? You close it and you put it on the shelf. How do you end a series on Netflix? You turn the TV off or watch a different series. Now, some people might be going, yeah, that's real simple because I can just turn it off. And I'm saying it's a little bit different when it's a breakup or a relationship scenario or someone that you're upset with that's in your sphere of influence, circle of friends. Okay? But the idea here is to go through the problem, not around it. Not be that person blowing a whistle, telling all her friends and family, oh my God, this person did all this stuff to me. This person's horrible. They're a narcissist. I'm going to use narcissistic because that's one of the favorite terms now. They're this, they're that. Okay, but can you accept it? That's what happened. That's first. That's your first ship out to the promised land of clarity, promised land of clarity, redemption, and just you being you again. Because when you can't stop thinking about your ex, it's usually not just your ex, it's something specific. See, that's where it helps when you book a live coaching session. Let's get specific on what it is. I can't stop thinking about it. Specifically, what is it? Well, what they said to me at the end. Well, what did they say to you? Well, they said I was just really lazy and I didn't care about my body too much, and that was a big deal. And they also said that they didn't like the fact that I played video games 10 hours a day on the weekends, right? So that's what you can't stop thinking about specifically. That really pisses you off because you know what? It's hard for you to accept because you like playing fucking video games and you like being a little lazy sometimes. But at the same time, you're conflicted because you're like, this person I love, this person I cared about, this person I was all in on, that I thought was all in on me, has just told me that two of my greatest loves, video games and being lazy sometimes, which I still get my shit done. I pay my rent, right? I'm not a deadbeat in my mind. Now I got to rethink who I am. Now there's the problem. You got to accept what that person said about you. Then you got to figure out, can you accept if that's who you are? Because now that they're left, you can't go back and go, hey, I'll never play video games again. Can you be okay with that? Can you be okay with that? Good question, right? Good question. Now, I dice this up a little bit. I'm going to go through the description one more time because it's clean, it's clear, And it's important for you to understand. If you can't let go of something, it's an open loop. It's a cliffhanger in a series on Netflix that you don't want to end. You feel like the story can't end this way. There's got to be a part where you live happily ever after, or she or he comes to your doorstep in the pouring rain, begging you back, where you then make her or him beg some more before you finally let them in the door. Yes, it does sound like a Hollywood movie, doesn't it? Then there's the 21st century element of becoming a covert spectator or an online nonviolent stalker via social media. This only makes the story go on and on. How do you end the story? How do you accept the breakup? How do you accept the unfairness? Number one, why do cliffhangers keep our attention? Think about that for a moment. Number one, the story hasn't ended. We need to know the ending. This is just human nature. Who wants to hear a story that falls off a cliff and you're like, well, what happened next? Oh, I'll tell you about it later. It's like, wait a minute, wait, what happened? The mind wants the end of the story. They want to know what happens. We like suspense and mystery. And here's the surprising thing. Think about this for a moment. If you read any dating books for men, some for women also, suspense and mystery create attraction. People don't like it, but they think to themselves, wow, that guy hasn't called me in a few days. I've had a client before, highly attractive, made great money, lived in a major city, had a lot going for her, late 20s, and I'll say highly attractive again, and she knew it, right? Checked a lot of boxes. She's in her late 20s. She's at the pinnacle of her life, right? And she's basically using the dating apps as something of fun, is the way I took it. I didn't feel like she was looking for too serious of a relationship. But anyways, this guy that she couldn't get over, who was a hookup or casual hookup in the beginning, and she had a few guys before. She seemed like she had been active, as I would say. And like I said, everything was right for her. She lived in a major city. She made a lot of money, and she was attractive. So she had a lot of options. Okay. Just saying how it was. So how did this guy get inside her head? He just wasn't that interested. They hooked up. They hung out. He wasn't pressed to make her a girlfriend or hang out with her more. And it ate her up because she hadn't dealt with a guy like this before. And then I told her, well, this is a lot of what they teach in dating books and attraction for men. Exactly what he's doing. He's creating a lot of mystery here. He's being unavailable. He's probably got other options going. And she's like, really? She goes, actually, for me, this is what I learned that women should do. Now, this surprised me. I don't know which book it was that she read or what podcast or what YouTube video, but she was saying that being mysterious, unavailable as a woman is the way to get more men. So she had been using the same tactic, right? Or believing in the same tactic, and the guy did it to her, and she was like, well, wait a minute. Bottom line is, why is it attractive? Whether it's attractive for men or women. Because people want to know endings. They want to figure things out. They want to have a label to it. They want to be able to go, oh, now I understand this completely. When someone goes out with you, you have a great time. You're highly attracted to them, and they never call you again. What does that do? You're like, what did I miss? What did I do wrong? Now it's on your mind. Oh, they must have not liked me because I'm short. Oh, they must have not liked me because my hair was off that day. What is it? What is it? I've had a lot of clients, former clients, call me up, friends, and they just had a date or 2 dates with someone online. They thought it went splendid, grand, wonderful. And the reality is they're like, then they didn't call me again. What's that? I don't know. Well, Mac, I could tell you what I think it could be, but it would be an educated guess based on a lot of experience, right? I'm not the average bear when it comes to breakups or relationships, just because I've listened to people from around the world. I have a little bit more knowledge up front. First-hand knowledge, not second-hand knowledge. Primary sources, not secondary sources. But the reality is, if you tell me you went out with someone on a date a couple times, they were highly attractive, you were into them, the date went really well, and they didn't call you again, well, that could be 15 different things. And I'll go through them with people. I say, look, they could have a family issue. They could have been talking to a few other people, which really, you think they're talking to other people? Yeah, probably. If they're on a dating app and they're a catch, you're probably a contender. If someone's a catch, they got a lot going for them. Don't get angry because they're talking to multiple people on a dating app. Folks, it's an advertisement. It's a billboard that says, hey, I'm single. Line up. What do you think? Right? Oh, no. I would never do that. If I was dating someone on a dating app, I would only date the person I'm interested in. How's that working for you? You're the one that ended up holding the bag, right? It's like the bottom line is, if you're going to be on these dating apps, right? And you get this, you date one person and then they don't call you again and you get your feelings hurt. Get your feelings hurt. I'm okay with that. But you're not going to ever know from that person that you went on 2 dates with exactly why they don't want to date you again. You think they're going to call you and say, hey, actually, to be honest with you, I just wasn't that attracted to you. I was just being nice. People don't like to say that shit. So they'd rather just not talk to you again, and they probably have other options. But here's the part where you need to accept. Just accept the fact that you don't know. I don't know why they didn't call me again. Let me get back on the dating app. If that's going to be your vehicle of meeting people, right, which is fine, learn how it works. The interactions on dating apps are very shallow. You don't know these people. Okay, so it's not like, well, let me figure out what happened. You don't really know them. You have no history on them. They just have a little profile, a little baseball card, and then you go from that, and then you get upset, and you go, well, why can't I figure this out? You can't figure it out. You can't figure it out because a lot of times they're not going to tell you exactly why. But what you need to do to move on so your mouse wheel's not running and you can't stop thinking about it is you got to accept it. Even though this person hasn't called me, I'm okay. Great statement. Even though this person, I have no idea what's going on, I'm okay. Great statement. Neutralize it. Is it really that bad? Now, why do cliffhangers keep our attention? Here's the thing you know when you watch a series, right? That's a cliffhanger. You know that there's a last episode coming and you're going to find out what happens. So you don't cling to it too much. You're like, oh, well, the show's going to be on tomorrow, or in Netflix case, you could probably watch all of them in a row. So there's not that much suspense, but you don't spend too much time over assuming what's coming next. In a breakup, you do a lot of over assuming. This is probably one of the biggest things that happens. It's a reflex. It's a human reflex in the mind that goes, well, I don't know this, so let me think about it. And this is the thing. Without facts, thinking means I don't know. So number 2, I think means I don't know. I heard means I didn't see anything, and is usually second or third hand info. So a lot of times people say, I heard. Well, who told you that? My cousin's brother. That's third-hand information. That's been recycled and tossed up by the time it got to you. And how credible a person is your cousin's brother, right? One of the biggest ones that people do now too. They say that in breakups, people never get over them. Who's they? This is a great question to ask people. People get stumped on this whenever I ask them, and it's not my intention. It's just to make them aware of the fact that who's they? I saw it on a website article. Who wrote the article? I don't know. How are they credible in the situation? It's generalized information. How does it apply to your individual situation? Now, how about this statement? I know she never loved me. Now, I know should mean it's a fact. 2 + 2 is 4. Diagnosing someone's feelings is incredibly difficult because feelings are ever changing. Do you understand what I mean by that? One day someone can feel like they love you to the heavens, and the next day they can have a real problem with you, and it can turn into a shitstorm where they lost a lot of love and respect for you. So you knowing how someone feels, you can maybe know in a moment, but knowing how they feel post breakup, rarely factual. It's a pissing in the wind. I know should mean it's a fact, not what you want to believe. Okay. Reality is, in most cases, you won't know what they're up to or how they're feeling because they're no longer with you. And that's a big change in your relationship with them. And they will no longer be as open with you. Okay. Before you'd get updates on their day and their feelings every day. I've had a crappy day today. This guy at work crapped his pants and smelled up the place. Right. Now, like the list goes on. Okay. You have a pulse on that. There's a lot of assumptions post breakup. This is what I'm going to suggest to you. Even though I don't know how they feel, I'm okay. Stick with that one because that's the truth. That's what you need to accept. The assumptions are going to drive you nuts because the assumptions just create cliffhangers on cliffhangers, open loops on open loops. You know they're not true. You know that. Now, there are people out there, I know. Okay, how's that working for you? Number 3, accept that you don't know and embrace it's the best interest to not know. Now, this is something I got years ago out of a bad breakup. I just knew deep down inside, I don't want to know. I don't want any information on my ex. Friends, family, and colleagues, don't tell me if you've been seeing them on Facebook looking the best of their life. Don't tell me if you saw them smoking a crack pipe around the corner from your house. I don't want to know because we're not together right now. It's not my responsibility, and we're not together. I don't want to know. Now, it's really hard if you're really active in social media or you work or people go, oh, we go to the same university and we come down the same walking path and I don't know what to do. There's ways around that. Take a different route. Okay. But the reality is the best place to be is I don't want to know. If you really want to get through the breakup and you get to a point where you're like, you know what, we're probably not going to get back together. The problems aren't going to get fixed. There's too much wreckage on the road. They don't want to meet me halfway on the bridge. You got to get in that mode. I don't want to know. I'm not going to make any efforts on knowing what they're doing. Number 4, some puzzle pieces can't complete the puzzle when you'll never have access to all the pieces. Now, what do I mean by this? A lot of times you get a picture, you get a note, you get an email, a friend of a friend tells you some information, you got a puzzle piece, and now you start to I'm putting things together now. You're never going to have all the puzzle pieces of why you broke up. Unless you get a private investigator who collects a lot of hard information. No pun intended. Now, I've had someone come on the live stream before. He was going on. I know she was cheating. She was at trucker stops, turning tricks. I was like, how do you even know this? Right? He found out that she was a prostitute on the side or something like that. Came on the live stream. He's going on and on about it. I go, how do you know this? This guy was in law enforcement. He hired a private eye or a private investigator who took photos and tracked her and had hard evidence. Now, at that point, this guy's got all his clarity. He's got everything on hand. He's going through it. He's like, I can't believe she did this to me. It's crystal clear. She played on him. She cheated him. All this other stuff. And then I asked him, I'm like, have you ever cheated on a girlfriend? And he's like, yeah, I had an ex-wife I cheated on, actually. I'm like, well, there you go. And can you accept the fact that you got played? right? That's a really hard one. I never knew she's seeing guys at truck stops. Can you accept that? It's going to take some time. Even though I didn't know, I'm okay. All right. Not having all the puzzle pieces. You got to accept that. Stop looking for more puzzle pieces because you're not going to find the whole puzzle. Think about it like this. Do human beings really tell you everything about themselves? This is one thing I've realized in coaching, doing hypnotherapy, emotional freedom technique, which is a tapping technique. When I talk to people one-on-one, like, how much of your friends, colleagues, and partners do you know about them really? Now, some people could say, oh, we know each other. We've known each other. Do you know everything about them? Do you know what really makes them tick? Because it's surprising when people reveal stuff about who they are and what's happened to them in their lives. It's absolutely incredible. And I think that a lot of people think they know someone and they really don't know. Imagine if you gave people everything bad that's ever happened to you experience-wise. It'd take a long time. I'll get to the chat in a moment. Number 5, hard evidence, text messages, pictures, videos are actually lacking in some areas. So this is a big one. A lot of times you get caught up on, I saw a picture. This is a big one. Text messages. Text messages are hard evidence, right? You said this to her, like, and it's in front of you. So you can't run from it. It's crystallized. Someone sends a nude pic to their boyfriend's best friend or something like that, right? A girl does that, and you know that it's hard to evade that, but it doesn't tell the whole story, right? It's still lacking in some areas. It's like, how did you come about this? How did you go about this? These are the hardest things to accept. Hard evidence is hard to accept, but really it should be the easiest thing to accept because it's the truth, right? And so the tools that I would recommend and the things that I've cultivated as a coach, something called the emotional freedom technique, and it's tapping. You probably can look this up online. And you start out with a statement like, even though my ex broke up with me, I'm okay. Even though my ex broke up with me, I'm okay. And then you tap meridian points around your face, around your head, and you say, breakup, breakup. You focus on the thing. And the whole point of this, folks, is just to accept that that's what happened. And I'll tell you what, I'm probably going to start doing some Zoom classes with this because it's a very beneficial technique. This isn't like groundbreaking stuff. It's been around for 20, 30 years. I think it came out in the 80s. It's the meridian points that you use in acupuncture, acupressure, right? It releases energy. But the phrasing of it with the affirmation of even though my ex cheated on me, I'm okay. Now, someone says, I can't do that. But that's the problem. Doing that with 2 or 3 rounds of that, I swear to God, folks, it really helps neutralize the fact that you're fighting the reality of what you don't want to accept. Okay? So, like, for example, if Tinkerbell, if your ex says, even though my ex said I deserve better, I'm okay. Even though my ex said I deserve better. And then you go from there on the tapping. And what it does, it neutralizes that statement. I also do a technique with the tapping where I tell people to focus on the sadness or focus on the anger and just say everything you have involved with the anger or the sadness. Because what happens is, like, sadness is one of those things, especially for men, you don't want to show that. You don't want to cry, but you have to get those emotions up. Anger is another one. A lot of people like being nice. They don't want to be associated with anger. Going through the tapping scenario and saying all the dark, mean things that you've been wanting to say has a lot of value, and it erases the anger. It neutralizes it. This is something I've been doing. Also, hypnotherapy, which is very similar to what you'd call guided meditation, where you get into a state of relaxation and reframe your situation or your breakup. There's a lot of value in that because it calms you down. It puts you in a different state. It puts you in a theta wave state, and it actually helps neutralize or accept the breakup. And that's really your first step. And some people say, I don't want to accept this. Well, that's why you're stuck. That's why you're stuck. Okay. And I'm not saying that once you accept it, you're going to be rose petals and wine glasses singing in the rain. It's going to be all good, but you'll feel better. And this is what happens to a lot of people. We'll go through the tapping session. You go through it. And I've been a client of the tapping, and now I've been certified in it. Now I do it with a lot of clients. It absolutely works. It doesn't take that long to do either. Okay. This isn't a sales pitch. It's just truth. Seriously. I do find that you can do it on your own and it works, but it helps when you have a partner with you. But this is your first step. And people actually, if they do 2 or 3 rounds in the beginning, they'll be like, well, what's your feeling on a scale of 1 to 10 of sadness for the breakup or anger? A 10. By 2 or 3 rounds, they're down to 1 or 2. And they go like this. Like, where to go? Because literally imposing that into your energy system that this is what happened and I accept it neutralizes it. Now you might have to tap on it again because you can get re-triggered. Okay. All right, I do have one story. I got about 10 minutes left. I will get to the live stream. If you do have questions directly for me, go ahead. If you have some comments or you'd like to do a live coaching session with myself, go ahead and sign up at rightmac.com. I am doing lives 10 a.m. all the way till the end of the month. So hit the bell and subscribe button if you want to be updated for those. But basically, it's 10 a.m. Pacific time. So getting into the story today. Hey, Coach, I've been watching your show this last week. Good stuff, man. Well, thank you for saying thank you. Thank you for saying good stuff. I'm 33 and my ex is 40. I know it's rare for a guy to be with a woman that much older. I wouldn't say it's rare, and I wouldn't say there's a problem with that if you enjoy her company. Certainly isn't that big of an age gap. She honestly looks 30 and is in great shape. I believe you. She's a gym rat. She's got an online business that crushes it. She's a catch, and I love her. Well, it sounds like you're on deck, and you've built a case of why she's good for you, even though she's 40. By the way, I'm 41, so age is just a number. We just broke up 20 days ago, and yes, I've been counting the days. I caught her texting another guy that she works with or technically works with. I got her phone, and the text messages were evident that they were seeing each other, and they did get down with each other. She claims there was no penetration. What a word. I don't believe her. I know the guy. He's a piece of shit. Well, I'd say you're probably biased in that assessment, but okay. I'm riding with you. He's also a gym rat and always souped up on something. The guy's jacked, but a bonehead. Okay. We've only been together a year, but we did talk about marriage and kids, even going as far as saying we would adopt possibly. So this usually comes up in a breakup where someone goes, we actually talked about marriage and kids. We talked about this. That's a moment. Okay. Actions speak louder than words. Moments like that can be talked about in a way that isn't going to be acted upon anytime soon. So don't get too caught up in that. Okay. And now I find out that this, and now I find this out and I can't stop thinking about it. I want to confront the guy, but I know that's not right. This is on my girlfriend. That's true. That's a great assessment. She has a responsibility towards you and your expectations of a relationship or what your boundaries are. You guys are monogamous, right? This guy doesn't owe you anything. He's a guy. It's her obligation or job or duty, right, to put this guy in the place where he knows that she's got a serious boyfriend, she's in a serious relationship. But guess what? Good thing you find this out now, just 1 year in, okay? Because she's obviously telling you that she's not a woman that's into monogamy, okay? And she wasn't very sorry or regretful. She told me that she still flirts and that it's part of her business to mingle with other influencers on social media. Okay. Bottom line is, it's up to you to accept that. I know guys that are women that are flirts, that might flirt with other guys for business reasons. And if you accept that, that's completely up to you. There's consequences to that, probably, because at some point she might get penetration. She did say she's sorry for hurting me, but she also feels like she'd never sleep with the guy, and that's what counts for me. Well, right there, she's not saying sorry for what she did. She's saying sorry it hurt you. So I don't think she really does regret what she did, and she doesn't feel like it was that wrong. Be curious if you did that to her, how she'd feel. I'm confused because part of me wants to roll with that, but those text messages were extremely sexual and she was receptive. This could be called emotional cheating, which I brought up to her, and she just sort of chuckled and said that's not a term she identifies with. Again, emotional cheating is one of those things, you can make it what you want to make it. It's a label. It's something that is for you to define, and it's fairly new. So not everyone's going to go, she's 40. So same as my generation. I didn't even know what emotional cheating was until the last 5 years, right? This would qualify as that, absolutely. Whether it's a game changer in your relationship is something for you to decide as an individual. If she's not on deck with that, you're not going to convince her otherwise, but you can stay strong with what you believe in. Then she just dropped it on me that this relationship isn't what she's looking for long-term, and we've become more like friends with benefits than long-term partners. This crushed me. I didn't see any of this coming. And on top of it, I heard from a close mutual friend of ours that she's seeing this guy now. Well, surprise, surprise. And I popped on his social media, which really floored me because he's got 100K followers, and now my girlfriend is one of his minions. So that's just a story you're creating. As far as going that far that he's one of her minions, who knows? This is that place where I just said earlier, you don't want to know, cut off all access to social media. And you got to accept the fact that you're broken up and there's a good chance she's seeing someone else. Okay. You've seen it for yourself. You got to accept that first and foremost. She's basically an online social influencer groupie. Okay. So accept that. Now, 3 weeks later, I'm checking this guy's social media hourly for any pics or likes by her. How do I stop this? I'd highly recommend we do a live coaching session. We'll probably do some EFT, that emotional freedom technique, that tapping technique, maybe do some guided meditation also. These are things that I'm adding in to the coaching experience that have actually worked quite well. But you need to get off immediately and go on a social media fast, not just about this guy, but just overall, just to take a break. I miss her. I want her. I can't stop thinking about it. But at the same time, there's no going back. Help me get some clarity, coach. I think I just did. That's what I would recommend, right? This isn't going to be one of those things that's workable, right? She's been emotionally cheating. She's seeing someone else, calling her names and doing all those things. There's a place for that. And you could air that out with me in a live coaching session if you want. I'm not against that. But you just got to accept the fact that there is no going back. But it starts with you accepting it. And I would book a live coaching session because you got a lot of air out there. All right. So let me get into the live stream really quick. Chuckster, how you doing, bud? Laquita, welcome. I always just say why I'm not interested. Well, that's nice of you, Laquita. FM, Odd Carlo, if you're still on deck. There's a cliffhanger, and then the network executives cancel the show. You'll never know how the show runners wanted the story to end. You are disappointed, but you got to let it go. Okay, well, there's one for you, Chuckster. I like that. Tinkerbell, great name. My ex said I deserved better. Do you agree? Do you agree? Now, a lot of times when an ex says you deserve better than me, that means they did something wrong and they feel guilty. You deserve, or it means this might hurt your feelings a little bit. It means that they believe they can do better. A lot of people project what they want onto you, and that's kind of a twisted way of doing it. They either feel guilty or they actually feel like they can do better. Tinkerbell, if you want to do a live coaching session, let's get into it a little deeper. Odd Carlo, you deserve better? Okay, then be better. If I said that, she would be gone mad. Did you know that EFT works on tachycardia, atrial fibrillation because of the limbic system confusion. Absolutely. I did not know that, Chuckster. That EFT emotional freedom technique works for a lot of stuff. It's a great modality. It's very simple to use. And I'm using it regularly in the coaching sessions now, and the results have been outstanding. And like I said, I'm thinking about doing some Zoom classes with people from the live stream or past clients where we can partner up and use it for all kinds of things, because acceptance of what happened and why. For example, you can't fall asleep at night. Everyone's had this before, right? Even though I can't fall asleep, I'm okay. The whole problem with not falling asleep is when you get caught in that mouse wheel of, I can't sleep, I can't sleep, I can't sleep. Accept that you can't sleep, turn the TV on, read a book, do whatever you want to do, and then you'll probably fall asleep because you'll let go of the resistance. Okay? It's the same thing if you've ever lost your keys on your way out the door. I used to do this all the time. It's like you're like, where's my keys? Where's my keys? And then you get really pissed. I always lose my keys. I always fucking lose my keys. I got to get more organized. I got to do this. When you just sit back and you go, all right, I lost my keys. Where did I put them last? A lot of times you get an answer that tells you where the keys are when you calm your mind down, unless someone else put them somewhere else. All right, Chuckster. Chris Puckett, he has to dump her ASAP. Anything less than that is self-abuse. Great take, Puckett. I appreciate it, my friend. Heart issues. No, I'm aware that it's something with the heart. I just don't know specifically what it is. But like I said, EFT, emotional freedom technique, if you guys want to look it up, I'll probably do some videos on it in the future. Just a great modality in the sense of what it can do, how it can help you, and it just really clears some things out. It's shockingly effective. It's one of those things where you're like, to me, it's a great alternative when you get to a point of talking, and you're like, I can't let this go. I can't stop talking about it. I can't let it go. All right, well, let's just try this tapping technique that actually neutralizes it. Right? All right, folks, this has been good, grand, special, wonderful, outstanding. I really appreciate everyone that's come on deck, that's been riding with me this week. It'll be 10 a.m. tomorrow, new topic. We will probably eventually, as this show goes on its daily evolution, get into some other topics that are possibly outside the realm of just breakups, because we've got Eduardo Martinez that's on deck. We've got Odd Carlo, Chuckster, Tinkerbell. All these people have different problems, different issues, and we can get into that stuff. Not a problem, folks. All right. It's curtains.